Alright, hey everybody, it's R Klaus here, and this is going to be the US version of our video talking about Google X and Dan Fredinburg. It was banned in America because of our trailer use, so we won't use that today, but this is very important information, okay? So Dan Fredinburg died in an avalanche on Mount Everest caused by the giant earthquake which struck Nepal. And of course, we're not trying to depreciate or undermine the severity of that, and our hearts go out to everybody who's dealing with that devastation, okay? We're looking at this to talk about Dan Fredinburg, and we've mentioned before that they absolutely use these crises as covers, and because they're real and people's emotions get involved, they can then use those emotions not only against the people themselves, but also against those people who are trying to question and make sense of everything. Okay, so it's never about disrespect here, and it's just all about tracing out logic and finding the truth. All right, and so with all of that, big shout out to BP Earthwatch. He's been doing really great coverage of the CERN activity that's been going on, and translating it so that we have a better ability to understand what that all means and what its potential implications are here on Earth. Okay, and so what he did is he put out a video on the 25th showing us that when CERN was reaching its critical levels of output, that time happened to perfectly coincide with these earthquakes striking Nepal. Okay, and then so the correlation that you are then inclined to make is that CERN would then be more or less directly responsible for all of that devastation and for that tremendous loss of life. And I just like to say I don't know exactly what CERN is for. There's a lot of theories out there. Some of them make sense, some of them really don't. But ultimately, I just think it needs to be shut down, because I can say rather confidently that there are plenty of problems that we need to be addressing in this world, in this realm, in this dimension, that are much worth those resources. Okay, so this is a very interesting video. Please check it out. And we want to talk about Dan Fredinburg, okay, because he was the biggest name that we saw come up dead after this incident. And so, as we say, he's a Google executive who headed privacy for Google X and led its product management team. All right, and so right there, you have to understand that he's a very important and influential person, okay, because he's working, and we'll talk about Google X, but for this semi-secret facility or subdivision of Google, right, the world's largest internet company, and he also had a lot to do with the evolution of Google Maps. You see here, he co-founded Google Adventure and helped get the extreme exotic locations. Very experienced climber, and you look and he seems like he's a pretty decent guy. On the surface, he had some nonprofit organizations for bringing awareness to climate change and poverty. And of course, I don't know too much about those. That's not what I'm talking about today. And before we jump into Google X, I do want to say that it's peculiar in and of itself that he was with three other Googlers as well as some members from the Guardian press team who were following him on the mountain because it was, I believe, for non-profit organization for orphans. And so everybody else made it out okay, but Dan, an experienced climber, and that's the thread that comes through in all these articles. He was very experienced, adventurer, but he was the only one who came up dead, okay? And so that to us warrants looking just a little bit farther at what he was involved with and why he might be the only one who turns up dead, okay? So let's stay with us here. We're going to look at Google X, and you see it's a semi-secret facility run by Google dedicated to making major technological advancements. All right, and so you've heard of a lot of these different projects, surely, over the years, and but most interestingly for our discussion today is the life sciences division, and it's interesting in and of itself that Google has a division that has a subdivision which specializes in life sciences. Okay, so it's important to remember that as far into this rabbit hole as we go here, Google is funding this. Okay, and so you see here, this is important to emphasize that Google founders have said that Google will not be a health research organization. Okay, and then so with that, let's just take a look at the team of researchers that they have here and just a few of their honorable mentions. And you see we have the founder of LabCorp's National Genetics Institute, We have an expert studying the effect of radiation on DNA, cancer biologist, and with that, you have to ask yourself, if Google is not a health research organization, why do they have doctors and specialists for cancer and the effects of radiation on DNA? Okay, those are health issues, and if you have researchers whose expertise is in that, then you're doing health research. Okay, and then just look at their partnerships here. Okay, look at the money and where it is going. You've got Google is invested in Rani Therapeutics, which is researching how large drug molecules can be delivered orally rather than by injection. All right, now think about that. Think about what's in your water. Think about how bad your water is, okay? And then now think about this huge corporation sponsoring a company that researches how you could take you could say from vaccines, from whatever. I mean, there's fluoride in our waters, and there are countless studies telling us how horrible that is for us, but it's in there, and now we're working on these other molecules, getting those in there, okay? And it just goes on and on. You see they're working with children with developmental disorders. And interestingly down here, funding Transcriptic, which develops automation technology for molecular cloning, mouse genotyping, and managing biobanks. Okay, and what biobanks are bio repositories where you keep samples, usually from humans, for research. Okay, and if you're using human samples, you're probably doing research pertaining to health. Okay, but Google is not a health research organization. So why on earth are they funding all of this health research? Okay, and what is the theme? We see that they're very into molecular level phenomena, and especially genotyping and storing those. Okay, and so let's look at some more of these projects down here. And of most interest is on this down at the bottom, October 28th, 2014, Life Sciences Division of Google X announced the development of a disease-detecting nanoparticle platform. Okay, and then so once again, this company that is not a health research organization is taking place, is funding research on a disease-detecting nanoparticle platform. Okay, and so now on January 29th, 2015, the division showcased synthetic skin that was created to test this platform. Google has patented the technology. Okay, and I'm going to bring it in just one more time. They are not a health research organization, yet they are patenting this technology. And why is that bizarre? Why is that bizarre? Okay, January 29th, 2015, and we played the trailer in the first video at this point. The trailer for this movie, Ex Machina, came out 2 days after this announcement was made for the disease-detecting nanoparticle platform. 2 days later, the trailer for Ex Machina comes out. Check out the trailer. And so, on January 29, 2015, the synthetic skin was created to test this platform, and Google patents it. January 29th, 2015, The Telegraph, who is a mainstream outlet, which is certainly in the palm of these people who are running the show here, happens to do a review of that movie, Ex Machina, on January 29th, 2015. Okay, and outside of her face and her hands, what is this robot artificial intelligence missing? Her skin. Okay, her skin. And you have to put all of those pieces together. It's there. It's not reaching. Okay, it is not reaching at all. The premise of this, if you look at the trailer, they are flying into the mountains at the beginning, and a man who is working for the world's largest internet company has a chance to interact with this artificial intelligence, and and things just go wrong from there. But then this mirrors in so many ways. You look at who Dan Fredinburg was, what he was involved with, the projects at Google X. He's going into the mountains. I'm going to say clearly had knowledge of artificial intelligence programs being run at Google and Google X and its other subdivisions, okay? And so, we really want to know what you think about all of that. We think that's all pretty straightforward and clear. And, of course, you look at the plot summaries, we're not reaching. And one more thing to point in here, just because it's peculiar, when you type in Dan Fredinburg, you immediately are bombarded with images of him and his ex, Sophia Bush. All right, and that was peculiar to us, and we'll explain why in just a moment here. But if you look into, Fredinburg and Sophia Bush, you see that they actually split up in February of 2014, and this is from people.com, which, for this sort of information, I feel is about as reputable as we're going to get, okay? And so now we compare that to an article we're reading in the Huffington Post, in which they're speaking with Ashley Aronson, Fredinburg's most recent girlfriend, and it says that she's been his girlfriend for nearly 2 years. Okay, and so if you just, we just showed you, okay, that he's only been split up with Sophia Bush for just over a year. And so these are reputable news agencies, and you need to question these inaccuracies in their reporting, okay? And it's also just peculiar and worth mentioning that a lot of the pictures with Ashley and Dan, they only popped up within the last couple of days, even that one there. I mean, here you have it. And again, interspliced with all these pictures of him and Sophia. But if they'd been dating for 2 years, and I do believe Ashley is the product manager for some sort of media company, I believe, and Dan being the adventurer was, that there would be a whole lot of pictures of these two, okay? But it was very difficult to find, and these are the handful that keep coming up. And so, with all of that, please respond to, this video in its entirety, and look at the connections we've made between Fredinburg and what we feel could be ruled as a suspicious cause of death, and these connections we've made with Google X and their research, okay? There's a lot of stuff out there. This isn't really getting covered at all. We haven't seen anything on it, but it's very important because it's very easy to overlook, because it is seemingly so fantastical. But we know with the rate technology has been moving, plots like this are only so far-fetched anymore. And so, please take this seriously. Please see that these dots are very thoroughly and objectively connected, not at all arbitrary. And we want to thank actually everybody real quick here for watching these videos. We've almost got our first 300 subscribers, and we really appreciate y'all showing the courage to engage with these videos and think critically, and hopefully be talking about them with people outside of the internet as well. We have to start taking it back. It's step by step. Just stop supporting the corporations, okay? Grow your own food. Look into urban farming. I know it sounds, once again, just like this stuff, crazy and far-fetched, but if you're willing to just put in the effort to make it happen, I promise you it is very easy, and you will improve your life exponentially, okay? So once again, thank you all so very much for all of your support, and please be well.